Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our lunch and learn session. We're just running a little bit early, so we'll just give it a few minutes and let everybody join, and then we'll make a start. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our lunch and learn session. We will just give it another minute just to let everybody dial in and join, and then we will make a start. Good afternoon to those who just joined. We're just going to give it a few more seconds, let any latecomers join, and then we'll make a start. Fantastic. So let's make a start. So welcome everybody to our lunch and learn session. I'll just pop my camera on just very quickly. Apologies, I'm having some internet connection issues at the moment, so I will actually switch my camera off. But this is me just to let you know that it is live, and I am here. So welcome to our Lunch and Learn webinar series, where we tell you about what is going on here at Compleat and how you can get the most out of your iCompleat subscription. Today's session will cover how to kind of improve the ordering processing side of the system. We're going to be looking at quite a few different areas, just some little tips and tricks on what can help you with getting the correct information and processing requisitions and orders within the system, just to help everybody across the business. Today we're excited to introduce PearlScan as our Lunch and Learn sponsor. With over 2 decades of leadership in document scanning and digitization, PearlScan offers deep expertise across the UK's document management sector. And by being part of the Compleat ecosystem, PearlScan enables businesses to make smarter buying decisions directly within our platform. So today's agenda, as I said, we're going to be looking at the purchasing tools within iCompleat. We'll obviously be talking about the benefits of implementing them. Hopefully that will become apparent as we go through. I'll give you a live demo, obviously, of some of the things that we're talking about, and then we'll just look at the Compleat ecosystem, followed by any questions and answers. So if you do have any questions, do feel free to pop them into the questions box. You should, at the top of your screen in the Teams window, see a Q&A box. Pop the questions in there, and then we'll review those at the end of the session. This is me, as we saw on the camera. I've been with Compleat nearly 7 years now, I think. So hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions that you have. Just some housekeeping before we go any further. Obviously, if we could keep all microphones except for mine muted. If you do have any questions, as I said, just pop them into that Q&A box, and we are recording the session, so all of you will receive a link to the recording via email. So the benefits of some of these tools that and extra functionality that we're going to be showing you today is all around kind of speeding up user interactions with the system. We've got some nice new additions that have come in recently for things like the workflows and layouts within the system. So obviously these are the admin side of things. So if you aren't the administrator of your system, then obviously feel free to pass this information on to your admin administrators. We can ensure we're getting data integrity. So what we mean by that is, rather than having a free format text field allowing people to put anything in there, we could have kind of predefined lists of data to ensure that we're having that uniformed across the business. We can process different types of orders. So a lot of the system or kind of implementations that are out there may have just the one layout. We've always had the ability to have multiple layouts, so you can choose a different layout that's going to request different information depending on the order that you are creating. What has also been added to that more recently is the ability to have a separate purchase order PDF layout according to your requisition layout. Well, I'll show you that, so hopefully that will make a little bit more sense as we go through. And also streamline the approvals. So we've had some additions again recently whereby we can, within the workflow, state that depending on the matching status of the order, we can then drive the workflow based on that. So some of you may have separate workflows, one for an exact match and one for a variance match, etc. The ability is now in the system whereby we can put all of that into just one workflow, and by having that all in the one workflow, we can cut down on the amount of buttons that are presented to the AP operators, therefore speeding things up. But I'll show you more about that next. So what I'm going to do is I will move across to my iCompleat system. So I'll just bring that across here, like so. And what we're going to do is just have a look at, we'll cover off kind of the basics of creating a requisition first, and just kind of signpost some of the tools and additional functions that some of you may not be aware of. So if we go to create a new order, obviously that's going to start a new requisition for us, and that will bring us into the requisition screen. You can also trigger a new order from within the orders tile itself, and then you'll have a button down here, a little plus button that expands for create a new order. That will take us to the same screen. Obviously, any errors or any issues that the system has is shown up at the top in the red bar. And you'll notice mine is saying requires validation review, no layout configured. So within my test system, I've now got two order layouts created. And the first thing I have to do is select this layout. So for those of you who have just the one layout, obviously it's going to default to that for you. But because I've got two, I can now choose which layout I want to use. So I've just got a very simple setup of purchase orders for site 1, purchase orders for site 2, and I'll show you how the layout's being configured for each of those in a moment. But once I choose my layout, the rest of the screen reacts. So I can perhaps put something a little bit more meaningful in there. So stationery, let's do for November. I'm going to choose my supplier. So I'm going to choose Argos as my supplier. And again, so moving through the fields, I can either use the mouse or the tab key, arrows, scroll wheel, etc. to move through those. Supplier email address. This predominantly will be caching across from your finance platform. If it doesn't exist in the finance platform, as mine doesn't, it's empty, so I can put the email address in there. Remembering this is the email address that the system will automatically send the order to once it's been final approved. You can have the setting within the system to say automatically send every order where there's an email address, or the setting can be do not automatically send, and then we can go into the individual orders and we can manually set to send those, but I'll show you that in a bit. So I'm going to leave the supplier email blank because I don't want to email this out. Once I've got the header information completed, I can go to add my lines. So before I put anything in, will notice that this is automatically coded, this line for me. So it's put the tax code, the account code, cost center, department, and area. That's already been pre-filled for me. And how that was achieved, that was through supplier defaults. So supplier defaults are accessible from the main home screen. I'll point those out in a bit when we get to it. We can set the defaults. Originally they were intended for, well, they are intended for invoicing, but they now carry across to orders as well. So if you've put a supplier default against the system, against the supplier, it can and will automatically carry across to orders. I can still go in and change, but it's just kind of set some presets for me, again, just to help guide me. Some customers really like the fact that we can preset the tax, for example. So all I'm left to do here is just pop in the item code. Now the item code is typically that translates to catalog number. In the Argos catalog, you'd have like that 7-digit number, and that's what the item code would be. You can drop that item code. You don't have to see it on the order, and I'll show you where that is done. So let's go for some pens, some red pens. Pop in the unit cost, pop in the quantity, like so, and that's my line created. I can click on save. Alternatively, I could just click on straight to submit, and that will submit that out for me. Once I've saved it though, it brings up the actions button. So we've got the ability to delete, add notes, and add attachments. So if everything I put on here really didn't need it at all, I can delete it, and I'll move it to the deleted tray. I can add notes. So these notes will stay with this transaction for the entirety of its existence. And these are particularly handy for things like if you have a requisition, you've saved it, why have you saved it? So on hold, awaiting price review, that sort of thing. So just kind of anything that you need to note on there, just to remind you why you haven't processed it yet. You can add an icon. So we've got these icons in the system, and you can add, or rather set it to a pretty color. And what will happen is once you have added the note, it will save the icon and it will date timestamp who and when added that note. And you can then just carry on adding notes there. So I'll point out to you where those show in the grid view, but from within the transaction, it would just be simple actions and then notes, and it'll bring those notes up. As I said, I'll show you from the grid view. You also have from here the ability to add attachments as well. So if you've got a quotation that would need to go with the order, or any supporting documentation, anything like that, you can use the select button to locate the file. You can then analyze it using one of these preset categories as to what the actual document is. So, for example, quotation, supporting document, etc. And then just simply click on this button, and that will upload the attachment for you. And again, that will carry across with the transaction for its entirety of its existence. If I just come out back to the main grid, what we'll find is we have a little number here. So this is the requisition that I've just saved, and we've got this little number here which is indicating that there are 2 notes. And if I hover over there, you can see it brings up just a preview, still on hold, and then on hold awaiting. And if I click on there, it will bring that notepad up for me. So that's how you can quickly and easily get to the notes without having to go into the transaction. And in fact, this indicates how many notes are on there. What we also have from a grid view perspective is if I hover over the line, you can notice this little 3-line menu is following me around. If I click onto there, this is where I could again call up the notepad. I can duplicate the requisition as well, and I can delete it from here too. Quick note on the duplication: you can duplicate a requisition, which is an order that has not been approved, or you can duplicate an order. But if you do duplicate an order, you won't end up with another approved order. What you'll get is a saved requisition that's then ready to be submitted to then get its own approval. So as long as you bear that in mind. But this is particularly handy if you've got an order that you raise every month, rather than having to go in and redo everything from scratch. You can just find the last copy and duplicate that. So that's everything from an orders side, from within the actual orders module. What I'm going to do is just quickly show you some of the kind of admin-y side functions that we've got. So if we go to the configuration tile, and I'm going to start off with layouts. So one of the things I started talking about was that we can have multiple layouts, which has always been the case. So I've got two purchase order layouts here. One's for site 1, the other is for site 2. And what we can do is, because the layouts are controlling what information, predominantly what information we are requesting from the user. If we go to field configuration, we'll see that my site 1 is asking for department, cost center, etc. Whereas if I go and look at my layout for site 2, you'll find that it's not asking for the department or cost center. So just to illustrate, you can have multiple layouts all requesting different types of information. If we have a look at the basic details tab, we've got this function here now, which is purchase order templates. So what I've done is I've got two different layouts that can be used when creating a requisition, and each one is pointing to its own purchase order template. So I've got site 2 orders for my site 2 layout, and if I go back to my main screen, you'll see that I've got site 1 orders for my site 1 layout. Now what that translates into is, if I go to the main configuration screen and go to ordering and matching, within the PO templates, you can see I've now got my 2 layouts here. If I look at site 1, we've got the green asking for net VAT and gross, or quantity net VAT and gross. And then if I have a look at my site 2, you'll notice that that is a blue, and that one is asking for just the net only, or going to display just the net only. And I've also added in here the contact name. Again, another piece of new functionality. Include order owner is this toggle here, so whoever created the order, their name can be put against that that order document as well. Everything else is remaining the same. Obviously the footer text as to where the supplier should be sending their invoices, and if you want to add terms and conditions to automatically have those appended to the back, you can upload a file from here, and obviously you can set the logo, but by default, if there's no logo, you'll find that it will just stamp it with the name of the iCompleat entity that you're in. Now the other thing that we can do with the layouts is we can also create different number streams as well. So again, I've got my purchase orders for site 1, purchase orders for site 2, and if I come again back to the main screen for the admin and config, if I go to numbering, what I've done is I have created, to sort this, so I've created another order stream. So I've got S1 for site 1, and then dash ORD, and then the self-incrementing number, and then I'm telling the system for site 2 I want to call those S2, and then a dash ORD. And within a new number stream, when you're creating it, you can see you can add this criteria. So I'm very simply telling the system, this is the name of my order prefix. Sorry, the name of the number stream. This is the prefix, so that S2. In this field here, you can have up to 7 characters, numbers or letters. And then I'm just saying if the header, the layout is equal to my layout for purchase orders for site 2. So as soon as I'm using that particular layout, it will then use that number stream. So again, it's just to help identify the transactions and to kind of keep them separate, if you like, within the same company. What we can also do is within the layout itself, we've got the ability to obviously use the security. I know we've touched on security in previous Lunch and Learn sessions, but what we can do is if I go into my settings group for site 1, I can tell the system that the users in this group does not include a particular user or doesn't include anybody. And basically, if they're not in the group, then they won't be able to access the layout. So that would be a way to stop particular users from being able to access certain layouts. And what you could also do is you could set some presets or defaults in here as well, but also code restrictions. So if you remember when we first opened up that requisition, it was defaulting to the supplier defaults. And I said if you clicked on the drop down, it would then show all available codes, but we could within here set it and say, actually, it's just these codes that they can access. So it will default to IT, but they can only set these particular codes. So again, all about kind of helping the users and making sure that you're getting the correct data set at the correct point of time, because you could have the requisition layout set so it's not asking for any account code, it's not asking for department or anything like that. It's literally the description of what they want and how much it costs. But if you do need to have the invoice coded up, obviously it's either going to be the AP operator that needs to code it, or you could use these things like the supplier defaults and tools, etc. Or indeed events, which again, we had an events session a few months ago. So that's everything on the layouts. The other new piece of area that might help functionality is to do within the workflows. And this was, as I was saying before, some of you may have multiple workflows depending on the state of the transaction. So, for example, an invoice comes in. If you have an order for £100, the invoice is for £100. That would be an exact match. Happy days, off it goes. Some of you may have a final finance check for somebody to check the coding before it's posted into the finance platform. Others, you may be absolutely happy and it just goes directly to the finance platform. But then going back to the example, if we have an order for £100, but the invoice comes in for £120, we may want to get that extra expenditure signed off. So you'd have separate workflows for that. But what we can now do is, if I have a look at this workflow here, what we have is, I'll just go to this node here where I've already set it up. But we can, in our configuration, we now have matching status. So what we can do is we can now tell the system to go to a particular person or group of people if the matching status is a particular value. So just to quickly run through what this workflow is doing. So it's when an invoice is submitted, it's going to go to the order creator. So the person who created the order, that will be the pseudo receipting, if you like. And whoops, sorry, clicked the wrong button. Come back. So we'll go to the order creator for them to say, to approve, to say, yes, I've received, and yes, I'm happy. And then what we're saying is, as an additional spend approver, we're going to go to Simon, and that's going to be if the header matching status is in a range of, and if I go into there, you can see we've got all of these different statuses that we can use to drive our workflows from now. So we're going to say that if it's an overmatch or value mismatch, that's at the point then we want to introduce Simon. If it's a match, then obviously it's going to skip that node and go straight to our final finance coding check, which again in this case is Simon. And just to illustrate how that would work in the real world, so if I go back to my main screen, and if I go to invoices, so I've got an invoice here, number 37 that I've lined up already. So 37 has come in, an order number was provided, but I can see that it's not an exact. It looks like it's missing a 0 in there, so the system hasn't automatically matched it. So what I'm going to do is I can either go in and I can go to actions and matching info, do it that way, or alternatively, what I'm going to do is go to this, hover over the line, go to this little icon here. That's going to show me again the invoice, and I'm going to do find a PO. If I did perform matching, that's going to look at the order number that has been provided on the invoice, and we already know that the order number is wrong. So if I did perform matching, as I've done now, it wouldn't do anything. So what I'm going to do is a manual find. So find a PO shows me all of the purchase orders that have been created for this particular supplier. And there it is. There's my order number 6. I'm just going to click on there. Incidentally, we've now got links as well. So if we'd clicked on this order number here, it would take me to the order itself, but don't want to do that. I just want to click onto here and match. And that has matched for me. And because it is, I'm going to look at my related transactions. So I can see that the invoice is matching the order, nothing outstanding. If I click on submit, obviously it's taking me to the next transaction. So we'll just go back to grid. And if I come over to my submitted tray, you can see that it's gone to the order creator, which is who I had in my workflow. So I will, because I am the order creator, I will just approve that. And again, because it's an exact match, what I'm expecting to see is once this screen refreshes is that it has gone to, there we are, final finance coding. So that's because my invoice is matching my order exactly. Now, if I match this to an order where it doesn't match exactly, so what I'm going to do is come into here. I'm going to go to my matching info, undo the match. Obviously, I could have done this from the front screen as well if I wanted to. Matching info, find a PO. I'm going to match it to number 27, which is considerably less. That's giving me an overmatch. If I submit that out, what I'm expecting to see is it will come to me again being the order approver, and it will then, order creator rather, did that come out? I don't think it did. Oops, nice. Still having a think. Yeah, still got a little spinning wheel. Incidentally, that W that you're seeing here, this was me previously testing and playing about. If you are looking at amending the workflows, etc., this W is just indicating if there's been any problems, and it will kind of give you an idea as to where the problems were. So that was a happy accident that happened that means I'm able to show that to you. But yeah, it will highlight if there are problems with the workflow. So going back to my example, order creator being position number 1, that's fine. But what I'm expecting now is because it is overmatched, you can see it's not gone to the final finance check, it's now gone to the additional spend approver, who in this case is, as we saw, Simon. So that's how you can incorporate those different matching statuses and how they work into the workflows. And the very final thing that I'll show you, I will just go back to the orders module, because some customers have missed this function. Very simply, if I go into the orders and go to the approve tab, you do have the ability to close for matching. So if you've got an order out there that has been part matched, for example, or even if it's overmatched, but typically part matched, and the remainder of the goods are not going to be received, they're not coming in, then you can come and close for further matching, and that will obviously update on the reports and stop it from appearing as a match candidate when you're doing your manual matching. So let me, oops, my slides have gone a little bit all over the place. Let me just go back to here. So hopefully that's given you an insight into some of the new functionality around the order side and how it can help to streamline things. Just before we jump into any questions, I just wanted to quickly mention the Compleat ecosystem. So it's our built-in supplier network that connects businesses with trusted providers across a huge range of industries. Whether you're looking for office supplies, financial solutions, or specialized services, the ecosystem makes it seamless to find, connect with, and buy from the best suppliers without all the usual hassle. And what you see here is just a small snapshot of the many suppliers available through our platform. And we can see we've got PearlScan, who are kindly sponsoring this session for us today. And just as a reminder, the Compleat ecosystem, you'll notice you got this nice big banner sitting at the top of the screen here. So that is the demo side done. So what we'll do is I'll open the floor up to any questions. If anybody has any, I'll just get my chat window up and let's have a look, see what we've got. So just bear with me, my laptop's just having a little think about things. Okay, so first question, what if the supplier is a new one rather than one that you were able to call up from a database of suppliers? Okay, so that's a really good question. So I assume this might be to do with the setting of the defaults, etc. So there are two things that need to happen. One is that the supplier would need to be set up within the finance platform, and that supplier would also need to be cached across into iCompleat. So the supplier record would need to be present within iCompleat for you to be able to then go and create supplier defaults for it. And if I just flick back to iCompleat quickly, so it's to set a supply default. It's either from within the invoice itself. If we go to the edit button, we have this apply defaults. Now to get the apply defaults, you have to have mapped the invoice first. So this would only work if you've got an invoice from that particular supplier already in the system. But if we go to apply defaults, that's where you can set those defaults. Alternatively, if you haven't yet received an invoice from them, but the supplier has been created in the finance platform and has cached across, then you'll be able to go to this suppliers tile here, where you can then go and find your supplier and pop in the defaults there. You have got a button here where you can export that list to Excel. At the moment, unfortunately, there's not yet a way to import supply defaults, but you can go through this way and put them in like so. And just to finish up, obviously I'm talking about the recaching. That's if you have a distributed connector, so the likes of Sage, AIQ, NetSuite, all those sorts of things, that will happen automatically overnight. But as an administrator, you'll be able to go in to the, again, I'll just move back to Compleat, you'll be able to go to the configuration into the company itself. On the connection tab, you'll see on here there will be a button that's inviting you to recache now. So that would bring that new supplier straight across for you. And yes, there will be a recording of this made available, and we'll send you out a copy of that. Oh, I can see Michaela's already answered that one for me. Lovely. Let's just refresh the screen. So another question, how do I create a custom field to include in my workflow? Yes, that's another good question as well. So we were obviously talking about workflows and including drivers of those workflows. So what we can do is, if you go into the configuration side, you can go to custom fields. You can create your custom field. So I've got one here, for example, called area, where I've just created northeast, southwest. And again, this comes back to what I was saying about data integrity. Having a preset drop down of available options means that you get uniformity across all of your data within the system. But once you've created that custom field, obviously you're going to want to include it on the layout so that people can actually use it and analyze the transaction with that particular custom field. So here, area, you can see I've got on the line. I could set it to mandatory or not. But if we go back to what we were looking before in the workflows, what we can do is within the workflow itself, we could then add specific criteria. So if we go to this criteria here where we saw the overmatch, I can then add in my area field. Now we have to be very careful when making sure that we are picking that up from the correct area, whether it's on the header or the lines. So we've told the layout that we want the area on the line. So I don't pick it from the header, I go and pick it up from the lines, and is equal to, and then so on and so forth, pop in that criteria like so. So hopefully that answered that one. Let's have a look. Do we have any other questions? Can I create a test company to trial some workflow changes? Yes. So some of you may already have a test company sitting in the background, carefully hidden. Some of you may already have access to one. So with a test company, basically what we'd be looking for is up here would be the ability to switch to a different company, and it hopefully be clearly labeled. If you want a test company set up, or rather if you have a test company or want to see if you have a test company, then just drop us a message, drop support message there. We'll be able to check if they can see one and then just activate it for you. Bear in mind that some of the config may be out of date, etc. If you want to have a kind of a new fresh copy of the test company set up, that's obviously something that client services can get booked in for you. Alternatively, if you did want to create your own test company, that's something that's perfectly possible as well. All you need to do is from the configuration, go to the company, and then you have add a new company there. So what that will do is that will ask you for the company name. It will create its own unique e-invoicing address, and you'll be there with a new company. But bear in mind, you'll have to create the workflows and the layouts, etc., etc. But as I said, we're happy to help you with that if you like. Brilliant. So I think that's everything I've covered off in the chat. So obviously, if you do have any other questions that pop up, we've got the success team who are always eager and happy to help. So they can be contacted at success@completesoftware.com, or else you can connect with us on LinkedIn. And for our next lunch and learn session, being in December the 16th, usual time 12 o'clock. Look out for your invites. We're going to be doing a ultimate skill up. So we'll be going through just the a debrief of all the new features and wins that that have happened in the 2025 year. Just kind of covering off a nice refresher for anybody. And there'll be some more fun stuff in there. So look out for your invite when that comes across shortly. And that just leaves me to thank you all very, very much for giving up your precious time. Really appreciate it. I hope it's been of use. If there's anything in there that you've seen today that you would like to take further or have a further chat about, obviously drop customer success a message just asking if you can have a chat with one of us consultants, and no, we'd be happy to talk through anything that you like. Thank you ever so much, everybody, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Bye.